When last we left our heroes, each of them had found themselves, after living a normal day in their normal lives, suddenly in a small room. They find themselves in a church. No doors, no windows, and there are people here, frozen. They may be in the middle of a wedding, it looks like. A tiny green man approaches them and announces himself as Petey Fizzywink. He's a strange little green man, no taller than a man's hand is wide, long pointy green ears and sharp pointy white teeth. He presents to them two options. They can spend their days here in this church, living the rest of their life, never escaping. Or they can tell him which of the two five frozen people are actually in love. Through actions of their own, they reap consequences. Several of the five frozen people die. But all of our party makes their guess and escapes into the real world. Petey had made employees of them all, with a central mission. Get to the other side of the continent. There's a large tree there. I need you at that tree. And this is where we meet our party. Zolaria, a tiefling rogue. Caldrian, an elf bard. Fenna, a tiny gnomish druid. Fish, a cat-person fighter. Supplement 040, a warforged cleric who doesn't remember who or even what he is. And Alexi, perhaps the most mysterious of the gang. The group slowly discovers that Alexi is a vampire from a very powerful vampiric family. They take residence in the Godscar. It's a mysterious place in the world where magic doesn't work the same way as it does everywhere else. And their family had taken complete control of the Godscar and had gained reverence throughout all the world. They had become blood gods. Through our adventures together, we meet Alexi's brother, Kiesel, a large man, vampiric in nature as well. He covers his face with an elk skull and long black hair that trickles over his well-defined muscular shoulders. He carries a 7-foot-long sword called the Dragon Slayer that he slings over his back. Kiesel makes it no small secret that he is after Alexi with the intention to kill him or bring him home. Over the course of our adventures, we also discovered that Zolaria is more than just a run-of-the-mill tiefling. She's a hellspawn, and her mother runs hell. Zolaria runs from her mother for many reasons, but the chiefest among them is that she, like her mother, prepares her to be wed to her father. It is the tradition of hell, apparently. Zolaria no longer wants this life and the other evil things that her mother would have her do. We also slowly become more familiar with Caldrian, or Cal, an elf bard who was once quite famous in the world, who managed to fall in love. And once his wife was taken from him in death, he lost his passions. We're watching him journey to find himself again, to become a person again. And I don't think it hurts anything that he's recently opened his own bar. Fish, a cat-person fighter from an underground fighting ring, much like the Colosseum of old Greece, runs away in hopes for a better life. She's perhaps the least connected to all of this, and she has discovered that she no longer feels compelled to finish the quest that's been put in front of her. I wonder what we'll see of Fish in the future. Supplement 040, over the course of our journey, discovers that he's part of a guild of Warforged. This guild is like him, but not exactly the same. This entire group of Warforged was created by a child called the Creator. And the Creator grows ever more mysterious. We discover that Sup is a part of this guild, yes, but is unique among it, because his name is 040. And through the newly found web of connectivity, he discovers there are no others whose name ends in 0. And he comes to find out that this quirk about his designation might mean that he can use the abilities of all the guilds. And finally, Fenna. She comes to realize her family, though they loved her and were always peaceful, may have lied, or at the very least inhibited her when she discovered her abilities. The song that she always hears, she comes to learn, is the whisper of a god named Bolgra. She meets this god, and though cryptic, he seems like a good entity. Her journey continues to discover more about the song and more about who she is. Unfortunately, this is where our group begins journeying together. Fenna, over the course of their adventures, meets a man she calls Mort. A small, painted white man, pudgy, rotund, dressed in loose, white-fitting robes and bandages. Every now and then, as he speaks, a single drop of blood will fall from his eyes or his ears. Mort is not a good person, she discovers. He revels in the hunt, and he's decided that Fenna is his next prey. The party journeys together. They find a haunted toy house and fight evil puppets to save beings who are very similar in nature to Supplement 040. They come across a small village where the children at night are whisked away by a song. At first, Fenna, thinking it might be her song, decides to stay, only to learn that these children are lured into the basement of the local church, where a rite is being performed to reawaken an ancient moth god. The party stops it. From there, they make it to a small town to discover that this town lives the same day every day, always ending with the brutal murder of the local seamstress's daughter. They then discover that they too are stuck in this repeating day, over and over. And to make matters all the worse, while they're here, everything is a musical. From there, they make it to the capital city, where they enter a tournament that comes once a year. While entering this tournament, our local bard, Caldrian, discovers he has a true passion for baristry, and he buys out one of the local bars. He begins recruiting anyone who will listen to him speak to come dance at his bar and raise the success level. The rest of our party go to join the tournament. While there, they meet several of the other teams, chief among them the Knitting Guild. The Knitting Guild only has 2 members, Sweaters and Buttons, a cat person, like Fish. Supplement 040, through several moments of dialogue, somehow manages to become the 3rd member of the Knitting Guild. It is there that they meet the town's champion of the people, Sir Gregory the Everoak, a true champion, a good man, and one of the last beacons of light in the world. Over the course of this tournament, Supplement 040 sells his ability to inhabit the abilities of one of the guilds. It is completely erased from his memory and seemingly can never be recovered. The crew also come to understand that the king of this capital has not been seen for 100 years, and that's not the only interesting coincidence. An old friend has returned from eons before, in a campaign before this one, named Jargon. Jargon is a jester god with the intention to become the king of the Pantheon, and his wife, also a god named Tilly, has recently been kidnapped and seems to be being held somewhere, perhaps in the Godscar, perhaps to bolster Jargon's efforts. Over the course of the tournament, the party becomes separated, and on the last day, in an effort to protect the party from Kiesel, Sir Gregory foolhardily rushes in and wins. He performs an unthinkable maneuver and defeats Kiesel, seemingly. It's at that moment that the person helping him, Buttons from the Knitting Guild, is revealed to be Mort. Mort, approaching Sir Gregory from behind, stabs him and robs the world of one of its true beacons of light. Fenna, standing at the side of Sir Gregory, looks on in shock as Mort grabs her and disappears. Kiesel, having some understanding of what's happening, makes peace with his brother very quickly, and Alexei and Kiesel and Zolaria portal away to the Godscar, leaving Caldrian, Fish, and Supplement in this large city. Fish, seeing how large these events are and how not connected she is to them, sees her moment to run. But Caldrian and Supplement, no such luck for them. And that is where we begin our game.